Welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see, we have a little bit of a different kind of video. I'm accompanied by my beautiful wife, De Ville, and of course, our amazing dog, Nutella. So in this video, I want to answer some of the questions I got from you through Instagram, by email. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments or send me an email. Always happy to answer them. And in order to make this video a little bit more structured, we're going to put it into 3 parts, from investing to personal questions to some fun questions in the end. So stay tuned until the end.
So first of all, guys, it's a pleasure to be here. And after seeing my husband for nearly 2.5 years building this YouTube channel, it's amazing to be here to say hello to all of you. And yeah, I cannot wait to ask you all these questions.
Amazing. Let's do it.
Okay, husband. So how did you get started in investing?
Great question. I mean, obviously, I remember it was back when I was 19. I just had a little bit of money saved up. And I heard about stock investing and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to invest. I'm going to be the next millionaire, right? So I was very excited. It was still quite tricky at the time to actually buy your stocks. These days, it's very easy with apps like Revolut, Lightyear, etc. But back then, you have to go through your bank and it was quite expensive. I remember paying around 10 euros in commission. So I bought my first stock and you can imagine it went nowhere. I lost a lot of money on it. Well, all the money I had at the time. And I lost the interest in investing actually at the time. So it wasn't until I really met my wife almost 5 years ago. And I remember there was one evening we had some friends over and then, we were all having too much drinks anyways. And somehow I ended up saying to her, what are you doing on your phone? I saw her, on some app buying something. And then she said, after a couple of drinks, I just bought some Bitcoin because I heard good things about Bitcoin. I said, oh my God. And she spent quite a bit of money on that. And, next day I still remembered that. And I was reading more about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, investing. And somehow, I don't know why, it triggered that flame in me again to get excited about investing. And from then on, honestly, I've been really consistent with my passion for investing and obviously started buying different stocks, cryptocurrency, ETFs, etc. So yeah, you've played a huge role in my journey to becoming an investor.
Very glad to hear. Okay, so really, since you started investing, you had a lot of experiences. So could you share one of your investment successes and what have you learned from it?
Definitely. I mean, as I said, I tried obviously, and I share this in my channel, quite a few different ways to invest, from cryptocurrencies to ETFs, stocks, and of course, real estate. Now, I understand real estate is not for everybody to get into it, but if I had to look back, what has been my best investments so far, I would definitely say my Dubai apartment, which I bought a couple of years ago, because that has appreciated the most in value and still pays me, every month regular rent income, which is really amazing. So honestly, despite me being so excited about investing into dividend growth stocks and other things, I think real estate eventually, once you start saving some money, should be part of every serious investor's asset allocation. So honestly, that's probably been my biggest win across all my different investments.
So it's always very nice to talk about your successes, but what about your mistakes and how it changed your philosophy about investments?
Definitely. I think my biggest mistake would have been chasing, hype stocks that were talked about on Twitter and other, Reddit, etc. When everybody's saying you have to invest in DocuSign, into PayPal, all these hype stocks. And honestly, eventually I was, also falling for that and started putting money into it. And eventually, it wasn't really good. Obviously, I lost a lot of money in that. So for me, the lesson here is really do your own due diligence, do your own homework. Now, I'm much more, I would say, a conservative investor and I have time. I'm still young. I have many years to come. So I want to compound and slowly grow my wealth over time. So I'm not chasing, to make, a 100x return in the next month or so, because that's just not sustainable. And I don't know which company is going to be the one succeeding. So I'm really playing the long-term game, and the same with my career, with my health, and my relationship. I'm really planning to grow compounding over time and have that snowball effect later down the road. So that's for me the main learning from having those mistakes early on.
I agree. You definitely take your time when making some decisions. For example, proposal. Now I understand why it took so long. But when you commit to something, you're definitely super committed.
That's it.
So what about stocks? How do you decide which ones to choose? And actually, often I even ask myself, which stocks do you invest right now? Because for me, it's quite overwhelming when I open, the app and I can see so many different options.
Definitely. I mean, it's really tempting. Obviously, you read about different stocks in the news, but as I said before, you have to do your own due diligence and understand how you value stocks. And that really comes down to your risk versus reward, understanding and what you want as an investor. Do you want to make a quick buck overnight? Then you want to go for high-tech growth stocks. But myself, as I said, I'm a long-time, compounder, more conservative investor. So I invest into dividend growth stock companies that have a proven track record of paying a dividend for the last 20, 30, 40 years and growing it every single year. So for me, that's really attractive. And I know even any crisis coming, they will still be able to make money and grow that over time. I'm using Seeking Alpha. If you haven't checked it out, use the link in the description below. Will definitely help you to get started. It's a great resource. You get all the insights, you get the quantitative ratings, you get also, personal opinions about the stock. So for me, seeing the big picture and doing all different kinds of analysis. I've done a couple of videos on that. I'll do future videos on that, how I evaluate stocks myself. But that will help me to shape my own image and picture about a company rather than just blindly following what somebody else on YouTube says which company I should be buying.
All right. So are you excited to continue?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, let's go ahead. How do you stay updated with all the market news and changes?
Definitely, good question. Obviously, one of my favorite tools, I use is Seeking Alpha. So that really gives me the big picture of what's happening. But I still like to read the big, newspapers, Financial Times. I watch Bloomberg videos in the morning, CNBC. So I'll try to get a, big understanding of what's happening for the day. Of course, I also watch a couple of YouTubers, which I really enjoy, that talk about finances and global, macroeconomic trends. So that really helps me stay up to date. But at the same time, I try not to overindulge in it. If I read only financial news, you kind of get, once again, tempted into, following AI stocks or this, or you have to buy that or sell that. So once again, I just want to understand what's happening globally, but not freaking out if, one day something happens that, might influence my long-term decision making.
So I have been watching you always being so passionate about your YouTube channel, but how did you decide to start?
Well, honestly, I've been watching YouTube forever, basically. I grew up with YouTube. Whenever I needed to learn something new, I went on YouTube and I watched it, and obviously I learned a new skill. So I always enjoyed YouTube much more than any other social media channels. So somehow deep inside, I always had that feeling that it would be so cool if one day I had my own channel, right? I just didn't know what I want to do. Then I started on my own job, then you start following the corporate career. So it felt a little bit inappropriate to have your own YouTube channel. So I was always kind of hesitant. But then back in 2020, 21, we all know what happened. A lot of people stayed at home and they started their YouTube channels. And even some of my friends who started, their channel really took off very quickly in a short time. And for me, that really gave me the kind of confidence that I can do the same, because I looked at some of the channels where I said, well, honestly, they're good, but not something wow. I thought if they can do it, why not me, right? So at least I thought to myself, regret is the worst thing you want to have in life. And when I'm old and I say, at least I should have tried it. And that was the moment when I said, okay, let's go for it. Worst case, it fails. I only get dislikes and nobody watching my videos. Well, then at least I've done it. I've done the checkbox. But luckily so far, thanks to all of you for watching all the videos all the time, which I really appreciate. I'm here and we're growing, and hopefully more viewers and more success to come in the future.
But how do you stay so consistent? Because it definitely takes a lot of commitment. And I know so many times we went on holidays somewhere, and I know you would have chosen to just lay down by the beach with me and you would go to film. So I don't know how do you convince yourself always to stand up and go and do it?
Well, having a very patient wife definitely helps. So I appreciate you kind of making space for it, because obviously, when I stick with something, I really want to stick with it, because I know consistency really gets you success over time. And I don't know, I'm just really obsessed. I enjoy the process, even though sometimes it can be quite tedious. I remember various trips we did together, or one of the videos I've done after my bachelor party. I was still, a little bit hangover after the previous night having drinks, but I said to myself, I need to put out a video. So, I filmed the video with a hangover and actually did quite well. So it just shows for me, if you put in the effort consistently over time, it will yield the results. And I always try to visualize the end goal, right? Even though there's no end goal, but I want to see, what my channel could be in 5-10 years from now if I really stick with it. And I don't know, I just enjoy it. The same with working out, with fitness, with investing, with your career, with the relationship. I just think consistent effort over time beats motivation, because motivation comes and goes, but discipline and sticking with it will hopefully yield some good results over time.
Definitely. Seeing you so committed, I can definitely just say that all the support from the guys who follow you, who interact with your content, really means a lot to you, and it's so nice to see you so obsessed with what you do. Definitely.
And it's so nice. My wife already recognized some of you subscribers and said, this and this person. So
yeah, Lauren, success and go. Definitely.
Keep on commenting, guys. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and I always like hearing from you. So thanks for that.
Nutella looks a bit stuck. I don't know what she wants to do here.
In between.
Outside YouTube, what hobbies do you have?
Well, I really love exercising, so definitely every morning I exercise. But that's more like part of my lifestyle routine, I guess. Other than that, I really love wakeboarding in summer and snowboarding in in winter, as you well know. And of course, I think the greatest hobbies that many people have, but we really try to stick with it, is traveling. I think traveling just opens up your horizons, you meet new people, and at the same time, really, it's just such an amazing way to discover the world. And we always say, it's nice to invest, nice to save money, but in the end, for what, right? Having stocks is nice to open the app and see the amount, but in the end, you can't really enjoy it, right? But when you travel, you get to experience things and make new memories together. And for both of us, obviously, that really means a lot. And last time was the first time we went together with little Nutella on a trip, and that was really, really amazing. So definitely more of travel in the future.
Actually, you don't only like to travel a lot, but you also lived in many different countries. So could you count to how many different countries you lived?
Good question. Well, obviously, I was born and raised in Germany, but since I was 16, so actually more than half my life I lived abroad. I actually finished my high school in New Zealand. I was there for 2 years. Then I moved to Switzerland, where I lived and worked. Then I was also living in China for 2 years. From there, I moved to the Middle East, to the United Arab Emirates, where I lived in total actually 7 years. And now I ended up in beautiful Vilnius, Lithuania. If you haven't been, it's an amazing place. My beautiful wife is from Lithuania. And yeah, I've been living here now for 7 years as well. So yeah, hopefully more countries to come in the future. I love traveling different places, but also living in different places. And yeah, it's just an amazing place here, and happy to be here.
I'm very excited that you enjoy so much living in my country. Okay, so what about the future? How do you imagine your life in next 10 years? Hopefully with me by your side and Nutella.
For sure. And many more subscribers. But apart from that, I would definitely want to have my own business at that time. My wife obviously has her own online business. She could basically work and live anywhere. And maybe one day we'll do a question and answer with you. If you want me to interview my wife, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to do that. But I generally think having your own business is so exciting because yes, while right now, in terms of financial compensation, I'm really happy with what I get. But obviously I need to be at a certain day, at a certain time, in my job, right? And having that freedom and flexibility of being able to live where you want to be and work when you want to work, I think that means a lot. And for me, that's really the ultimate freedom. So I think that would be great. I think in the next year, definitely big changes will come. So hopefully 10 years from now, we both have little kids running around, a big house or apartment, and both have our own businesses. So yeah, I guess that would be the ultimate dream.
I absolutely agree. This plan sounds amazing to me, but I'm absolutely sure that we can make it true. Definitely.
Great.
So now let's move to the fun questions. My first question is, what is the most memorable, the most unique place you ever traveled to?
Well, that's probably very easy to answer, and a place not many people get to experience, unfortunately, and that place is North Korea. Yes, I've been to North Korea actually for a project at the time when I was living in China. And well, you can imagine the project didn't go through because it's sanctioned by pretty much every country around the world. But I was a whole week in North Korea, in Pyongyang, the capital, and then in the demilitarized zone in the south. And honestly, it was a memory of a lifetime. I can make a whole video about it, but basically, as soon as you arrive at the airport, you have to leave all your camera, all your laptop, phones there, and I had no means of communication. I mean, we were staying in a hotel room where basically I was with 2 colleagues. I had my own room, then there was an empty room. They had a room, empty room, and they had another room. So basically you had a huge mirror in your room and you knew next door there was nobody. So obviously when you took off your clothes, somebody was watching you, and you couldn't go by yourself down to the street. There was always a guide with you. After 10 o'clock, you couldn't leave the hotel. I mean, stories after stories. It's a really crazy place. I mean, I would not really want to go back anytime soon, but I feel sorry for the people living there because I think they're really going through a lot of hardship. But it was an experience of a lifetime and definitely the most memorable trip. Not the most pleasant, but the most memorable trip I've ever done.
Yes, I definitely agree, but that's a very unique place to travel. And what about your comfort food? I know Sunday's day when we very often cook at home, and you definitely have something what you particularly enjoy. So what is it?
Definitely. I used to say pizza and burgers very easily, but a couple of months ago, I started going keto, basically cutting all the sweets, sugars, and carbohydrates. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not eating carbohydrates, but at the same time, I definitely lost almost 12 kilograms since then. So I can really recommend you, and I feel great, good energy. So it's a good way to lose some weight while getting, fitter. So yeah, a lot of the good things I eat previously, I can't eat anymore, but we found a great recipe to substitute that because I still love pizza, and that's called aubergine pizza. So instead of having a normal dough base, you take aubergine and the rest you put, meat on top, cheese. I can eat as much cheese as I want, which I love cheese. So yeah, that's really amazing. We do it at least once a week, and that kind of takes care of my pizza cravings, and it's healthy in the process. So yeah, that's probably my most comfort food, which I always love eating.
I think that's what we're going to be cooking today when the video is going to be uploading to YouTube.
You got it.
So the next question on my list is, do you have your favorite quote or saying? And if yes, what is it?
In general, I love quotes because they really sometimes, to the point, exactly what you need to hear in a certain moment. But one that stuck with me for quite a while, actually, ever since I read it, is the quote that says, "Success is never owned. Success is only rented, and the rent is due every day." Basically means you can have the most success in 1 year. You can be the most celebrated entrepreneur or CEO or the best investor. That's great for the moment, but it's long term. You have to prove yourself every single day. You can be the best CEO 1 year, and next year you make mistakes, the business goes down, and you're not going to be celebrated anymore. Same with your business, right? You can have an amazing year, and then next year something goes wrong, boom, your business collapses, you're out of a job, all of a sudden you're a loser, right? So you have to prove yourself every single day. And for me, that's really motivational. And once again, shows that, discipline compounded every single time, over time, eventually brings you to where you want to go, right? So that's for me, people like Warren Buffett, when I look at them, consistently putting in the effort, that's what inspires me and, what I look up to.
Definitely. I think you even brought that attitude towards marriage as well, right? Many times you said as well, but you cannot just expect that everything gonna go, super, super flowy all the time. And you have like emotional bank account, which I think is also such an interesting way to look at relationship.
Definitely. Especially when the dishwasher is full, she always reminds me of that quote so that I get to work.
Yeah. So, next question. If you could invite absolutely anybody, any celebrity, any person you can think of on your YouTube channel, who that would be?
Well, that's a great question. Obviously, there's a lot of YouTubers I would like to have on the channel one day, but some of the two guys, if I had to right now, one of them would definitely be Meet Kevin, who's also one of the thought leaders in the personal finance niche, investing. So for me, he's really inspiring. From being a YouTuber, he's now a certified investor. Even his company is now stock listed on a stock exchange. At some stage, he was even running for governor. So for me, honestly, you can say what you want about him, but he's a very smart guy. And the second one would be like a productivity guy like Ali Abdaal, whom I've seen, when he was like at 100,000 followers, now he has I don't know how many million. And honestly, the way how he is just a regular guy in the end and really makes things so amazing, so understandable, for me is really inspiring to watch his content. And yeah, he's just an amazing guy, and he also feels like a friend to me. I never met the guy, but I would call him a friend, because I watch him all the time. So having him sitting here one day would be amazing. But of course, at the end of the day, my wife definitely looks the prettiest of all of them.
Okay, smooth talker. Let's continue. What is something you always wanted to try but never had a chance yet?
Well, as you know, I like exercising and also running. And I always said one day I'm going to be running a marathon. So far I haven't been running a marathon, but now recently I've been really running more and more. And I'm actually quite close to signing up to my first marathon, potentially next year. I don't want to commit to it yet, but it might happen. So if it does, I'll let you know. We'll probably travel to that place together, because in Vilnius, the marathon, they have one, but it's not really exciting. So if it was somewhere, I would really want to travel, I don't know, London, New York, Dubai, one of those big marathons. So yeah, that could be one of the things.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I will be supporting you there for sure if you will decide to go for it.
Awesome.
And the last question I have for you. So how did you meet your wife? All your subscribers were very intrigued.
Well, given that 92% of you guys are male, apparently, well, funnily enough, we met in the cloud, so to say. We actually met on Instagram, because my wife is actually an influencer herself. So, I saw her pictures and started stalking her and really started, liking all the pictures, etc. But I didn't want to be one of those sleazebags sliding into the DM with saying, "Oh, you look so hot," or something. So I was waiting for my right moment. And one time she was posting a book about, what was the book?
4 Hours Work Week.
And I said, wow, amazing book. I really loved it. But in fact, I actually never read it. And from there, we slowly started to get the conversation going. And it took almost around,
10 months.
10 months until we finally went on our first date. She was at the time living in Manchester, where she was studying. I was in Vilnius. So the German brought the Lithuanian back to Lithuania. But yeah, eventually after 10 months, we went on the first date. And I think, it worked out pretty well from there.
Definitely. Oh, very nice, very nice. Well, it was a real pleasure for me to interview you today. Definitely. If you'll ever need any help, I'm always happy to help. Jump in here. And yeah, all the best luck with your YouTube channel. It's really amazing to see you being so passionate about what you do. So I'm completely confident that everything's just gonna grow and grow and grow.
Much appreciated, darling. I always appreciate your support. So thank you for that. And guys, hope you enjoyed this kind of videos and format. If you want more of it, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, as always, stay healthy, get wealthy.
See you in the next one.
Ciao.